today we are going to be discussing Kyoto. So Kyoto is a non-acceptance, you could say a document or a kind of a treaty. So we're going to be discussing that. Why is it needed in CSR? First, we're going to have a little discussion about how it started and when did it start. So it says that in 1997, a treaty that split the world into developed and developing countries. So we all know that the world is divided into different, categories like developed, developing, and then there is also another that is called underdeveloped countries as well. Rich countries would adopt legally binding targets. The European Union, for instance, had to cut its emissions 8% by 2012. So basically, they are saying that the countries that were part of the developed countries, like the rich countries, the developed countries, like you could say European countries or America and Canada and such. So what happened that they had to cut their emissions. Like we are discussing about CSR. So whatever they're producing in their factories, obviously there's going to be emissions produced from that. So they have to, it was a treaty that they have to try to cut those emissions. They have to reduce those emissions by 8%. Developing countries like China and India would get a pass for the time being since their per capita emissions were much lower and they were still growing. So basically, in 2012, what happened was that China and India now they are becoming very developed, but at that time they were considered to be developing. So what happened that they said that okay, these countries are allowed to produce emissions because they are already producing less emissions than big countries like America, England, and so on. Then it says the result was a total fiasco. US Senate refused to endorse the treaty. Why? Because they are saying that we are supposed to reduce our emissions, but China and India and they are supposed to not. So why is this? Why is this the problem that we should be allowed to produce emissions as well? Then it says senators complaining that China didn't have to restrain its pollution at all and that US factories would just move overseas. So they said that, okay, if you guys want to reduce our emissions, what we can do is that American factories could move to China, like we know, and a very famous example of Apple. So what they did that they had moved some of their outsourced basically some of their operations to China. Then George W. Bush formally withdrew from Kyoto in 2001. Later on, Canada failed to hit its targets and also withdrew with no penalty. So you can see that basically George W. Bush was the president of USA. So he said that no, I will not be a part of this agreement. And he basically withdrew that America will not follow this and it will produce as many emissions as they want to. And then Canada also did the same. At first, they tried to achieve this, they tried to cut their emissions, but they failed. So then they had to withdraw and with no penalty, meaning that they should have been penalized for this. Why? Because they were a part of the treaty first and then they were producing more than 8%, so they had to be penalized, but they weren't. And then further, we see Europe, Japan, and New Zealand did stay in the treaty, although it turned out to make little difference. In subsequent years, countries like China and India grew so fast and burned so much coal that global emissions soared, swamping the merger cuts rich countries made. In the chart below, it's hard to see that Kyoto had any impact whatsoever. So this is the chart. So first they're talking about these three countries that were in the treaty: Europe, Japan, and New Zealand. But they were basically trying to reduce their emissions, but it made no difference. Then it talks about China and India. Like in the previous slide, we studied that they were allowed to, um, you know, have the emissions. They were allowed to um, go, use their factories, and they were allowed to, um, you know, um, release their emissions into the environment. But when they were allowed to do this, what they did was that they took the benefit of that, and they had grew so fast and they had burned so much coal that it was just disastrous, and it was more than even the rich countries that had made, because obviously both of them were growing very fast, both of these countries. And now we can see that China and India, they are um, very much developed over the years. So over here it says in the chart below, it's hard to see that Kyoto had any impact whatsoever. So over here we can see that what were the effects made. So emissions from NXB countries have slightly declined in 1990, and emissions from non-NXB countries have increased rapidly in the last years. So you can see this is for USA. Their emissions were around 3 CO2 per year, and it has increased to maybe 6 over the years. And then we have European Union, it was also not much of a difference. Then we have Russia, that is like very less. Then we have rest of NX, meaning all the other developed countries. Then we can see China was only producing like maybe 1% of this, and then you can see how it has emerged, like from this to here the gap has increased so much. And then you can see India, you couldn't even spot India, and now you see that the gap has increased a lot. Then we have Indonesia, you see that we can't see anything over here, but the gap has increased. And then all of the rest of the non-NXB countries. So you can see that the developed countries, they had sustained their emissions, but these developing countries, they had increased their emissions a lot. Copenhagen talks in 2009, UN negotiators tried to craft a successor treaty to Kyoto that would require all countries, rich and poor, to make commitments, but that didn't work either. Countries like China and India were willing to propose some actions, but they didn't want to submit to legally binding goals. What's more, they continue to insist that rich countries like US and Europe should bear most of the burden. So what happened was that they said, okay, we will try to make commitments, and we will try to have some actions. We will not have this treaty, but we will have some, maybe we'll take an action, and we'll have a legally, we'll maybe print a law or something like that. But these countries were like, no, we don't want something to be legalized, because obviously if it was legalized, then it will make problems for these countries, that they are not allowed to produce this more emissions, right? So what happened was that countries like China and India, even though they were increasing, like we have seen over here, but they were saying that USA and other Europe countries, they are much more, developed than us. So that is why they should take the burden, and we should not. They had all gotten rich by burning coal. Now it was India's turn. Those talks ultimately concluded with nothing more than a vague resolution and economy. So what was happening, that everyone was trying to put the blame on each other. So basically what happened at the end, nothing happened. It was all just a waste. And the earth kept on polluting, and these companies kept on just polluting the environment. So why are we basically studying this? Because this comes under the corporate social responsibilities, that these countries, the businesses that are over here, that are working in these countries, they should have followed this and tried to minimize the negative effect on the environment, but they did not. Then, after the Copenhagen fiasco, policymakers began groping about for an alternative approach. Now they were thinking that okay, now we should think of something else. One of the core insights which had long been developed by political scientists like David Victor and Robert Keohane was that the quest for a legally binding treaty was in some ways an obstacle to progress. After all, no treaty is truly binding. There is no global SWAT team that will bang down your door if you don't sign on. So basically, they were trying that we should legalize it somehow. We should make a proper law somehow so that these countries are able to follow, and when they break that law, they should be penalized. However, they're saying that treaties they are made just to just to showcase it to the world that at least we are trying to do something, and there is no global sort teams like like in movies that we watch. What happens that if some person is doing wrong, then people from the sort team come and they break through your windows and your doors. So they're just saying that it's not like if you don't follow it, like India and China weren't following it. So it's not like that SWAT team will come to their countries and they will tell them that you guys are doing something wrong and you guys should be penalized or fined for that. The US and Canada dropped out of Kyoto protocol and no one did a thing. So these were two big countries, right? So if they had dropped from this, they should have been penalized. Why? Because they are also the ones that are producing the most emissions, as we have seen over here. Then, but on the flip side, adding too many legal requirements can make countries reluctant to join. So, obviously, this is also one thing that if you tell a person that for example, if you come to our universities and you will have to follow this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, and you'll be like, there are so many restrictions, I don't want to go to this university. So this is how this was also in the Kyoto, that they had so many legal requirements that the countries, they were like, we don't even want to join because they are not even letting us do anything. So obviously what would have happened that the rich countries, they would have become more richer and the poor countries would have become more poorer. So that's where the architecture of the new climate agreement was born, hashed out in conferences in Lima and then in Paris. Every country would start by submitting an entirely voluntary pledge for how it planned to address climate change. The content would be up to each individual government, rooted in analysis of what is deemed politically practical and technologically feasible. This approach ensured universal participation. So now they decided that we can ask all the countries that they should pledge voluntarily. So what will happen? One country will say, okay, I can cut 8% emissions. One country could say, I will cut 2% commission. One country will say, I will cut 3% commission. And then it will be signed by the government, and they will see that, okay, if they are truthful about it, if they're honest about it, and they are going to be seeing that, okay, if it is a developed country, then yes, they will be able to um, have technology that is able to take care of the environment. Like developed countries, they have cars like this that are more environment friendly and so on. But the developing countries, they have cars from like 100 years old and they pollute the environment, and they have like black diesel in them and so on. So they are not like environment friendly. So what is happening that over here, it is up to the country. If the country is able to afford it, then well and good, and how much they are able to afford it also depends on the country. Then they have the approach also allowed countries to tailor their climate efforts to their own individual circumstances. China could focus on measures that curtailed air pollution in cities. So that it is reducing the air pollution in the city. So now China is trying to do that. India could focus on bringing solar power to villages that don't have electricity. So now what are they doing? They are using renewable energy. By late 2015, virtually every country in the world had submitted something. The US promised to cut its greenhouse gases emission at least 26% compared to 2005 levels by 2025 through policies like Clean Power Plan to decarbonize power plants. So US said that we will do this. Then European Union pledged to cut emissions 40% below 1990 levels. So they said that we will try to do this. Then China vowed that its emissions would peak around 2030 and it would get about 20% of its electricity from carbon free sources. India would continue to reduce its carbon intensity and so on. So these are the things that the company voluntarily said that yes, we will try to reduce all of these things by this much of percentage and by this year. So like we know that 2025 hasn't come yet, 2030 hasn't come yet. So these things are in process. So over here you can see a forecast effect on global temperature. So obviously if so much CO2 is being produced, then obviously our environment is also being affected by that. So you can see that over here it says in gigaton CO2 equivalent over here, and this is expected temperature change by 2100 versus period before industrial revolution based on intended nationally determined contributions submitted by UNFCCC by 1st October. So over here you can see that there wasn't any like bad effect on the environment. Like you can see around 2000 until like 2011 or 12, but after that you can see that there is so much change. Now even we know that what is happening, that in summers the summer becomes very hot and in winters it is becoming very cold by due to global warming. So this is the issues that we have faced due to more CO2 and more pollution in the environment. Okay, social and community issues. So what do you think? Any issues that come to your mind? If we talk about um, small hotels and restaurants, they create, what do? They create wealth, they create jobs, and they create improved living standards in the local community, right? So this is how they are. What are they doing? That they are solving the community issues. And on the other hand, their activities, they are basically what are they doing? That they are giving more what do you say? They are providing more success to the business, and they are given prosperity to the business as well, and it is becoming a very favorable in the community. So local authorities, they have an important role in creating favorable conditions for the successful business that comes in a society, and when it creates job creation. So the success of hotels, success of restaurants, they depend on the partnership between the local authority and the business and the community. So when we are a business and when we are working in a community, so we also need the help of the community as well. We want the government to help us, we want the community to help us as well. Okay, so over here it says working for communities such as volunteering, giving blood donations, working at food banks or animal shelter, supporting issues that affect society, such as advocating political or social issues that can help others. For example, advocating for child labor, purchasing fair trade products, and recycling. So what is happening? That businesses, especially big businesses, what they do is that they volunteer in such activities. Why do they do that? Because they will get a good image in front of the customers, in front of the people. And because of that, these people will accept them in their community. Like you can also see that the social issues that can help others, like some businesses, they say that we do not encourage child labor, or they say that we purchase we when we purchase our raw materials, we purchase fair products, meaning that we buy on the correct price. It's not like we give less money to the person that is supplying us the good, and then recycling, because obviously we're talking about CSR, corporate social responsibility. So it is also the duty of the businesses to recycle the products as well. Then it says the social part of the external aspect includes the relations to communities out of relations to the staff, investment in human resource of the company, payment, training, career development, social benefits, and problem solving related to the seasonal nature of employment in the sector, offering healthy and safe working conditions. So what are they doing? That they are investing in the community. How? That all their employees, they are from the same community as well, right? So they are giving them payments, they are giving them training, they're helping their careers, they are helping them with other problems, and they are giving them employment. And because of that employment, they are getting jobs. So this is how, a company can also say that, look, we are helping with community and social issues. Then we have the social part of external aspects include the relations of communities out of enterprise, local community, the place where company is located and where the workforce come from, local companies, business and non-profit, external stakeholders, customer, supplier, and so on. So over here, they can say that, look, we are helping as a community. How? That we are located over here in your city, in your town, and we have given jobs to your people. And then we have local companies. So it could be a business, it could be a non-profit organization. Obviously, both of them require human resource, right? And then external customers. So some people might be the customers, some might be the suppliers, some might be the subcontractors, some might be the employees, and so on. So what is happening? That these are your stakeholders as well. So your community, your social circle, basically it is all involved with the business. Okay, then we have employing socially disadvantaged and disabled people. So what do you think? What would this be about?
To them. And I think they force the local industry to give out jobs to disabled people in order to give, and they tire them, the local companies, with benefits, that if you give a disabled person a job, we will give you this benefit. So this is one way of saying they are
Encouraging
doing,
them.
encouraging them to
Hmm.
hire disabled people.
Yeah, very good. Anyone else who was trying to speak? Uh, what is the basic policy in hiring person with disability? So, as you mentioned, government agencies shall reserve at least 1% of their regular and non-regular positions for PWDs, meaning the people that are disabled. Private corporations, on the other hand, who employ at least 100 employees, are encouraged to reserve at least 1% of all positions for PWDs. Those who employ less than 100 employees are encouraged to hire PWDs. So then you said that the benefits that are reliable, that, they are talking about the people, the disabled people. Like, what are the benefits to the company for hiring these disabled people. So people with disability, what happens is that they take fewer holidays, and because they are tend to be less sick, and they stay in jobs a longer period of time than other workers, because obviously they know that we have gotten this job, you know, very in a very difficult situation, so we need to stay in this job. Then we have productive. So once in the right job, people with disability perform as well as other employees. So it is that if someone has to work on a computer and they are unable to walk properly, so obviously it's not going to affect his or her productivity, right? Affordable. So when we are recruiting disabled people, our costs are low. Then we have safe. So it says that overseas studies they have found that workers with disability are no more likely to be injured at work than other employees. So they are very safe and they are very careful, they are very cautious. Then we have good for business. So people with disability, they have strong connection with customers, right? So for example, when a customer comes in and a disabled person is sitting over there, so what comes to your mind? You feel like that, wow, this is such a nice business that they are helping disabled person, right? So then in mind you get a positive image about the business. So also disabled people, they help to boost staff morale and loyalty by helping them to create a diverse workforce, and through that teamwork is also enhanced. So obviously other employee will be create a nice and friendly environment because of that disabled person. And what will happen that everyone will feel like a team. Okay, then okay, then we have sponsorship. So anyone knows what is sponsorship?
We are sponsoring a racing team, or sponsoring a local club, or sponsoring a local school in sports, or sponsoring a local event. I think that is
Mhm.
what they meant.
Yes, exactly. So sponsorship, like CSR, it also means that we have to adhere to many legal, ethical, environmental, and international standards throughout the entire organization and its activities. So basically, it says that sponsors increasingly engage in corporate social responsibility activities surrounding sponsored events, for example, the Soccer World Cup and Olympic Games. This study examines how linking CSR to sponsorship affects consumer attitudes towards sponsoring brands. So, like we see that Coca Cola has sponsored any event, or any other company, how they have sponsored some event. So what happens that this also creates in the minds of people like that, how this company is sponsoring this event for the people. So it, in a way they are basically helping them. A more visible application of CSR in a company's active involvement in supporting community, state, regional, national, and international causes. Companies do this through corporate philanthropy, cause related marketing, and sponsorship. The CSR Enlightened organization is dedicated to supporting individuals, the planet, and their profits. So basically, okay. So basically, what is happening that companies are showing the community, companies are showing the people the stakeholders involved, that how we are basically dedicated to supporting the lives of the people around us, the planet, and the profits. So this also, sponsorship also creates a very positive image in the minds of the people. Then we have, why do companies sponsor non-profit events? Okay, some events that we were talking about, they were like profit making businesses, but now they said that why do they support non-profit as well? There are a variety of reasons that motivate corporate sponsorship. Primarily, companies want a specific return for their investment, which may be measured by the exposure from associating with a highly visible cause, achieving greater brand awareness. So building brand awareness in a particular demographic or niche. So for example, if Coca-Cola, it sponsors, for example, the event for breast cancer, so what will happen, that people will be like, wow, Coca-Cola is supporting this event, so we should buy more of their products. And what will happen, that way Coca-Cola can help more of these people. So this is how basically brands, they kind of you can say that they try to manipulate us in a way, that they do it just for their own awareness and just for their own profit making. Knowing what motivates your list of potential corporations to become sponsors can help you customize your approach to courting them. Remember, there are more nonprofit events competing for sponsors today, so it is imperative that your organization stands out from the competition to be considered. So obviously now everybody nowadays wants that they should be able to sponsor the events. So it says that now there is a lot of competition, and it is not always that you will get a chance. So if you won't get a chance, then obviously you won't be able to stand out in front of all your customers. The most common benefits of sponsorship. So here they are. Building, strengthening brand awareness and image, like we talked about. Building brand differentiation, building community awareness and support, demonstrating corporate social responsibility, building goodwill, increasing product sales, recruiting, retaining, or motivating employees. So basically, this is like pretty easy. I don't think I need to go into the details of this. Then we have encouraging education and training. So it says that CSR education programs, this is also pretty easy. Like nowadays, we also see that companies, they are basically, sponsoring education for their employees. So that also, creates a good image in front of the people, in front of the customers. So we just read it through. It's pretty easy. CSR education programs can play an important role in this movement toward involving the whole child. They can be used as a teaching tool, and in some cases even incorporated into the curriculum. They can aid in social emotional learning by developing empathy and caring for others. So they're saying that not only they can help their own employees to maybe study or do a degree, but they also help underprivileged children as well. They can provide students with experience and skills to take with them into the workforce. Many CSR programs in education bring together groups of students and provide a great opportunity for them to develop 21st century learning skills that will help them throughout their lifetime. So what skills are they providing? Like critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication are key skills for students to master in preparation for life after high school. So these are a few things that people, these companies work on, and they help to get sponsor a child, or sponsor an event, or sponsor even their own employee. Then we have volunteering. So we also know that what basically it means to volunteer. Maybe you guys have also volunteered somewhere for tree plantation, or cleaning at the beach, or cleaning the mountain trails, or something like that. So on a bigger level, even businesses do these kind of things as well, that they take their employees to the beach, and then they are supposed to like maybe spend 1 or 2 hours over there. They'll have food, they'll enjoy the view, and they'll clean the space, and then they can just go home. And what and they basically do is, over there they make pictures and videos, and then they can upload on their social media, and then get a good brand awareness by the people. So this is also pretty easy. We'll just go through the slide. Corporate volunteering is a way for business to enable their employees to give back and contribute to their communities. It's usually accompanied by volunteering time off, VTO, or other policies that empower employees to work with a larger purpose outside of their world of work. Volunteering can help employees enhance their communication, leadership, and interpersonal skills. How that? They also make them play games like mind games and things like that, where they have to think, they have to become leaders, and so on. They have to solve problems and make decisions. Uh, their decision making and problem solving skills will improve as well. When you look at reasons employees quit their jobs, it's often because they're not given the opportunity to use their skills and abilities. So then they talk about that. What are the benefits? The first one is employee branding. So employees, they are often seen as a company's most important asset. So attracting the most talented employees to your company should be on every company's agenda. Employees want to work for companies that have good reputation and companies that are socially responsible. They care and invest in the local communities. Then we have employee engagement. So when employees have personal values that are aligned to their company's values, employee engagement goes up and the productivity also goes up, because companies that have successfully implemented a CSR strategy, they are more engaged with their employees, and they find out what are the issues that are important, and then they are able to solve that issues. Then we have customer engagement. So they even say that studies have found that customers are 88% more likely to buy from a company that supports and engages in activities to improve the society. Then we have professional development. So by implementing a volunteering strategy that takes into account the skills and positions of the employees, you can provide additional value through professional development. So what you can do is you can help them to learn a new skill. You can help them to improve their communication skills. You can help them to lead teams. You can help them to make decisions and so on. Then we have value. So through a good CSR strategy and volunteering, companies can increase their brand reputation and their brand identity, and that way they can attract new customers. And then we have new business. So large MNCs, they understand the value that CSR and volunteering adds to the business. So employees and communities in which they work, when companies that are socially responsible are looking for suppliers and service providers, they expect the same. And as part of the tender process, they will ask you about the hiring practice, sourcing, suitability, compliance, and CSR. A good volunteering program will enhance your reputation and help you win and retain the business. So what is happening, that if it is a new business, then it will, if you are doing volunteering, then it is obviously going to have a good effect on you. Over here we have an example for Lego. I hope you guys know about the company Lego. So they have set commitment to sustainability. So over here they said, with the powerful influence of being one of the most well-known toy companies in the world, Lego has taken the initiative to encourage children through use of their products to understand the importance of fostering a healthy planet after making a powerful promise to reduce its carbon footprint. So obviously why? Because they are producing plastic products. So plastic products, they have um, a carbon footprint in them. Lego became the first toy company in the world to receive a World Wildfire Fund Climate Savers Partner. So you can see that they have said that we will try to reduce. So what happened to them that um and basically they even got an award for that, that this company is trying to follow CSR. Then we have Lego displayed its commitment to the environment by announcing its plans to use only environmentally friendly materials to produce all of its core products and packaging by year 2030. So, what they announced that they are going to use environment friendly products, and they are also going to be changing their packaging. How? Because obviously, when we are use packaging, that is also made up of plastic, and it is also made up of cardboard. So, cardboard comes from trees, and that happens by deforestation. The company has already taken numerous steps to make this goal a possibility, including shrinking their box sizes by 14% and opting to use certain amount of sustainability source materials for their signature building blocks. So they have shown us that how they have reduced their use of plastic. Then hospitality for all Hilton. So I suppose everybody also knows about the Hilton uh, franchise as well. So it says possessing 380,000 team members worldwide, Hilton stands out for providing a consistently positive experience for its workers, no matter their job role. From frontline, hourly staff, all the way up to its executives, Hilton holds the powerful motto hospitality for all. The company understands the value of its employees and accepts that any interaction between frontline staff and customers has a significant impact on the overall customer experience. Hilton recognizes that a significant amount of its success can be found in the way it treats its employees, and as many as 96% of employees the company have said that it was a great place to work. So over here we were talking about a tangible product, but over here we are talking about the service. We can't like measure service like we measure products, right? So they are talking about that how Hilton Hotel uh, they train their frontline managers to keep their staff not staff, their employees happy, and this is how they are very famous for their services all around the world. So how are they managing this? How are they doing this? By what are they following over here? The CSR for that we just discussed for society and community. So by following that, they are able to become one of the famous companies in the world. Then we have Levi's. So worker well-being initiative. In 2011, the renowned fashion brand Levi and company launched an initiative known as Worker Wellbeing (WWB) with the goal of creating a more sustainable supply chain. In this, the brand states worker well-being initiatives can increase the quality of life for workers and translate the benefits of healthy and happy employees into meaningful business impacts. In this, since this point, Levi has branched out initiatives into 17 countries, impacting 190 workers, representing 65% of the company's production volume. So basically, they are talking about that how they have given benefits to their employees. So they are also following the community and social and community CSR. How that they are helping their employees in a way that they are helping to train them, to develop them. Maybe they are also providing education to them. So this is how they are uh, giving back to the society. Okay, now we have another example over here. You guys can go through it. These all are just examples. Okay, then we have understand the impact of corporate social responsibility policy on different stakeholders. So this is unit number 2, that what things are we going to be discussing over here. We will understand the impact of CSR policy on different stakeholders, assess the benefits of CSR to employees, like what are the benefits to the employees, analyze the impact of CSR on the supply chain, impact on marketing strategy, and assess the potential conflicts which may arise between the needs and expectations of different stakeholders. Okay, so assess the benefits of CSR to employees. Anyone who would like to contribute? Because
Mm, I'm trying to work out something in my mind, but I cannot phrase it.
mm-hmm.
It's something, the benefits of CSR to the employees. Obviously, they get, a lot of financial benefits, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of what you call benefits uh, for their own safety and for their own health, as well as the environment plays a lot of role in it, and
Hmm.
uh, the benefits of employees also include what you call well-being. Is the same thing. I'm talking all over in the circles. It's all the same thing, but we can say well-being.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right.
And well-being not just for the employees, for the company, and as well as for the customers, but we are talking here about employees only, I think.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
And one more thing, we can, from CSR we get what you call harassment policy, something like that, that what you call um, uh,
Hmm.
discrimination of races.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's about it. That's the most thing I can think about.
Yeah. No, no, very good. You're very right. Yes. So, like Hamza has mentioned many benefits. He has covered many of them, and that come under these benefits on the slide as well. So we can go through them. So the first one is improved working conditions. When a company is so invested in corporate social responsibility, then they also know that under CSR, employees also come under CSR. So we have to provide them with good environment, with safe environment, working conditions. Then we have lack of discrimination. We all know what that is. Then compliance with legislation. So all the policies that the government has set for the employees, like for example, the government has said that uh, you have to give the employee the minimum wage. For example, that would be 10,000 rupees. So you have, as a company, if you comply to that, then you are following CSR, and that is beneficial to the employee. Then we have whistleblowing policy. So whistleblowing policy is that when you are working, for example, in a company, then you are not allowed to, when you leave that job, then you are not allowed to, disclose the secrets to the other company. Basically, whistleblowing policy is a written policy that sets out the procedures for dealing with protected disclosure. That, in broad terms, you could say that whatever information that you have, you are not allowed to disclose it to the other, uh, other company where you will be working next. Then we have increased organizational citizenship behaviors and improve employee relationships. So your employee, they will feel that they are the citizen of your company. They will feel that important, and when they are feeling important, the relationship between you, your managers, your employees, everyone will increase, and productivity will increase in return. And obviously, what is happening if we are giving benefit to the employees, what is happening in return? The company is getting all the benefit. Then we have analyzed the impact of CSR on the supply chain. So, a supply chain is a focus on the core activities within an organization required to convert raw materials or component parts to finished products or services. CSR that expands the company, on the other hand, can benefit the entire supply chain by increasing competitiveness and strengthening their chain itself. This means that promotion of supply chain CSR not only increases competitiveness of service and products, but also increases positive social and environmental impact. So basically, what is happening? What is the supply chain? That how we are sourcing our products, and then how we are delivering that product to the customer. So all the steps involved from start to the middle and to the end. So it talks about ethics in production. So if you're producing something, it should be sourced ethically. It should be produced ethically. It's not like that you are, um, you know, um, uh, putting something um, harmful harmful ingredients in your products. Then we have responsible sourcing. So if you are sourcing something from other country, you should know that they are not following child labor. Then we have reduced transport cost. How? That you will try to reduce the cost so it is less harmful to the environment, the petrol, the diesel, and everything. Then reduce carbon footprint. That whatever you are using, for example, if you are making something, you're making your packaging out of plastic, so it is harming the environment less. And then use of technology in supply chain management. So by using this technology, what will happen? That the supplier, the retailer, the wholesaler, the distributor, everyone, they are on the same software. So they will know that, okay, this part of the production is done, now packaging is being done. So what will happen? That duplication of resources won't take place, and sometimes that happens, and then your resources, your time, your energy, everything is wasted. Then we have explain how explain have a CSR policy okay, explain having a CSR policy impacts on business performance. So, obviously, this we have been discussing as well, that how it is helping the business, how CSR is helping the business. So, we can see again, we'll just go through it. Social responsibility programs can boost employee morale in the workplace and lead to greater productivity, which has an impact on how profitable the company can be. Businesses that implement social responsibility initiatives can increase customer retention and loyalty. Will be loyal to your business, and they will stay longer in your business. Then we have improved scale, improved sales, improved profits, conflict of interest between stakeholders, and competitive edge. So, conflict of interest means that your stakeholders, they won't make much of a problem. Obviously, every stakeholder would have conflict. Sometimes, your shareholders will say that we want more profit, but your supplier may say that right now we are facing some issues, so we would want you to pay more, and so on. So sometimes you have to give money to one stakeholder rather than the other, so there might be conflict in that. Okay, then we have how CSR impacts on marketing strategy. So this is also pretty easy, and it's almost the same thing that we have been discussing again and again, and what we have discussed in unit 1 as well. So social responsibility in marketing involves focusing efforts on attracting customers who want to make positive difference with their purchases. Many companies have adopted socially responsible elements in their marketing strategies as a means to help a community via beneficial services and products. So what is happening that companies, they are providing products that are helping the society in one way or another. For example, I could say that I am producing soaps. For example, I'm producing homemade soaps at home, and I'm going to be marketing them with their packaging is going to be recyclable, and that soap is going to be recyclable. For example, I could say that I will put a seed in the middle of the soap, and when you finish the soap, you can plant that seed in your home, and so on. Even companies do that. Like, for example, Khadi, it is a well-known clothing brand. So what they had started was that they were producing their handbags, which were made out of cardboard. But now what they have done, that they have started using um their bags that are made out of clothing material. So what is happening, that it is also marketing strategy, and people are they feel like, wow, that they are using they're recycling, and that they are and even those colored cloth bags, they look very good as well. They look unique, and every cloth bag is unique and different, because they have just taken their pieces that were just left, and then they sewed it together and made a bag. So every bag is unique. What is the impact of CSR on marketing strategy? The relationship between CSR and marketing has many perspectives. The current definition of marketing takes into account society as a whole. The link between marketing and CSR should be strategically used. CSR can improve the company's value delivered to stakeholders. So it's the same thing again and again, that how it can make a good image in the minds of the stakeholder and the customer. CSR demonstrates that your business that takes an interest to wider social issues rather than just those that impact your profit margins, which attract customers who share the same values. Therefore, it makes good business sense to operate sustainability. So then we have ethical policies that they have to follow. Yeah, so these are the ethical policies. They have to be reliable, moral, responsible, trustworthy. Their behavior should be good, and they should follow the principles. Then we have brand differentiation. So an example of this could be, you can also say that it could be product differentiation as well. Like a Tesla, for example, it differentiates itself from other auto brands because their cars are innovative, they're high end, and they are battery operated. Then we have recognition of different cultures. So culture also has a huge impact on the marketing strategies of a product. And as culture affects customer lifestyles, so brands focus on cultural values of their customer in order to make them believe that they really know their customer well. Like, for example, in India, Pakistan, tikka flavor Lay's chips were introduced. So what is happening, that they are recognizing the different culture, and they are producing according to that. Then we have causes related to marketing campaign conflicts. So these campaigns, they tend to market a specific idea, a goal, maybe a cause, rather than a specific product or service directly to the customer. So this is a very good tactic as well. So there is example of Body Shop, that over here you can see, and the Body Shop used this tactic, and they said that it is time to care. So they are not like selling their product, but what are they doing, that they are saying that we care, they are showing that we care for you. Okay, so the history behind this is that in 2020, wellness and cosmetics company, The Body Shop, chose to run a campaign for healthcare workers. So these can be your doctors, your nurses, and so on. And to thank them for their work during the pandemic, COVID-19, right? So as a result, they created the Time to Care campaign, which supported health, wellness, and kindness. And out of this came the hashtag Time to Care hashtag. So now we know that how how on social media it is very easy to create hashtags, and then you get to work on create your awareness. This involved the company posting content about self-care and health with giveaways coordinated with the hashtag. They also encouraged people and influencers to post their own self-care tips. So this is how Body Shop did it. Okay. This we have talked about. On top of this, 4 million worth of product donations with care packages sent to support healthcare workers, volunteers, and people assisted in living. Out of all this came a vocal, interactive, and effective campaign. The Body Shop is no stranger to cause marketing. They also released hashtag Forever Against Animal Testing, promoting both social issue and also outlining the values of their brand. So what is happening over here? Again, they are following CSR. This improves the brand's reputation with current customers and pushes them on a conscious company in the eyes of the potential prospects. Shareholders' return on investment increased cost. So they had to make investment, and obviously this had increased their cost overall. But again, after all these campaigns, they had recovered their cost. Then we have example of social responsibility in marketing. Recyclable packaging, promotions that spread awareness of societal issues and problems, and directing portions of profits toward charitable groups or efforts are examples of social responsibility marketing. So the same thing that we have been discussing again and again, that how they can contribute to different charities and different recyclable packaging and so on. So this is how companies are making their brand awareness. Okay, and then this is an article. So this is assignment for you guys. You guys have to read this assignment next time before coming to class. First, we will discuss this. Everyone will have to participate, and then we will be moving on to our next unit number 3.